Hi everyone, welcome to the 46th episode of the Zicast. As always, I'm your host Ryan Zayaks, and today I'm joined by Prospective Law Enforcement Officer Brian Stefanski.
How's it going?
Awesome. I'd like to shout out episode 31 guest Liam Chen for TDing once again. So Brian, I know you know what we do here at the Zicast, and you're a really interesting guy, and I'm really interested in getting to learn more about you. So how about we start things off by you telling us a bit about yourself?
Well, I just graduated from Quinnipiac this past May. I majored in graphic and interactive design, but also dabbled in political science and business management. I'm from New Jersey, best bagels and pizza. No one can say otherwise. Look online. Look, everyone else says it. We're good. I just made a lot of enemies with New Yorkers.
And Kinetic Cutters.
And the Kinetic Cutters, yeah. Is it Kinetic Cutters? Connecticutians?
That's what I say. Some people say Connecticutians. Some people say Nutmeggers.
I've heard of Nutmeggers.
Yeah.
That sounds terrible.
I say Kinetic Cutters. That's what I prefer, but...
That sounds nicer.
Yeah, it does sound nicer, yeah.
But, yeah, born and raised in New Jersey. I got two brothers, both my parents and everything. It's a really small, close-knit family. Grew up playing hockey all my life, and what led me to Quinnipiac, I don't really know. I mean, I think they just gave me the most amount of money in my scholarship, but, yeah, I'm just me.
Excited to learn about just you. And, of course, we met each other working at Quinnipiac Tonight, the comedy club here on campus. Yep. You were a part of every one of my sketches.
Actually, every single one of them.
Which was really, really cool. And I'm really excited to have you here. I felt bad I didn't get you on while you're still a student here at Quinnipiac, but better late than never. So I'm really excited to get into the topic. So I'd like to ask you, what draws you to wanting to work in law enforcement?
So I come from a family of first responders. Not going to go into specifics about what they did or whatever, but my father was a Leo for 36 years. He just retired 2 years ago. My mother was involved in EMS and worked in a hospital for a very large portion of their life. That's actually how they met. They met in the back of an ambulance, which that's a whole story in and of itself. And my oldest brother is a cop, and he's actually going through the process right now to join the state police. So he's doing that. So we were born and raised with it, and it's a very unique kind of just I wouldn't say situation, but kind of upbringing. You're more aware of a lot of things, and it's also just that call when you're raised and you wake up in the morning and just as a little kid, and your dad's flying out the wind, going out the driveway in the morning, working shift work or leaving late at night, and you just want to see him, and he's pulling out the driveway in his take-home car, and he flashes the lights or maybe whoops the siren a little bit. You're like, oh, that's so cool, that's so awesome. But now growing older and seeing all that he's accomplished and he's done for his family and also just the community that we were born and raised in, everything, it means a lot more to me than some, it means a lot more than what meets the eye sometimes to some people. And it's a very interesting and also controversial, topic nowadays, especially since, political stuff and then 2020. But I personally just believe it's something I've always wanted to do. But it's such a very, depending on what you are, what you do, where you are, it can be risky because it's a very touchy thing at sometimes. People are like, oh, police, oh, cops are assholes or this or that, or oh, cops save my baby from drowning or something like that. But personally for me, I just born and raised around it. I see what my father's accomplished. I see what my brother's already doing in his 3 years. And, for me, I'm do I really want to take that jump and go into do I have the courage to be able to do that, or do I just want to just do this other stuff like graphic design and kind of live a more relaxed life, because that weighs a lot on your family, but also your significant other or spouse, because again, like I said, depending on where you are, what you do for work, you can kiss your significant other goodnight, and then when you wake up they're not there, and that's a scary thought nowadays. And I mean, but yeah, I've always been drawn to just helping others. I care a lot for other people, whether I show it or tell it or not. Because I know, I mean, a lot of people see me as just kind of a very secluded, private person. I make quippy comments or this or that. I'm kind of like an ass at times, but I do it to be funny. I do just make the light of moments in life and everything, just because, there's a lot of bad people out there, but I think I've just always wanted to do it, just knowing that I'm helping others. Making people's lives better, even just the tiny things, hey, don't, just even giving someone a ticket. It's don't be driving like that. You could take a life. But I think it's just more so of just making a better life out of other people and helping other people. I don't know why. I could not tell you, because I always say to everyone, like, I hate people so much. Like I get road rage. I see some person on the road and they do something, like, you son of a bitch. But no, I don't know. Yeah. Just kind of, I feel like it's a natural thing. A lot of influence, but it's not like we're forced into it. Kind of, we have our, own thoughts and everything gathered together. But yeah.
You'd be in it for the right reasons. And I feel like that's very important, that you're talking about the controversial aspects of law enforcement. I feel like those people are not in it for the right reasons, and you being in it for family to help other people, that's really why. I'm thinking about your situation. It's kind of like Blue Bloods,
a
TV show, a family of law enforcement. Yeah, I figured that very much tracks with yours. And you talk about your parents being on an ambulance. I feel like that has to be a very interesting story, if you don't mind sharing.
I wish I knew more of it. I to be honest, like I could not remember it for the life of me. I mean, they've said it before. I mean, it's like, wait, what? Yeah, they've my father and my mother worked as EMT paramedic. I forget the specific term they were, but they, had to bring some dude in the back of an ambulance, and all of a sudden there they are working with each other. Because my father did dispatch for a couple of years. My mother, was also in that field and working in the hospital. And then, they went to the road and worked the road and did a whole bunch of things, but just by chance they met, and then not long after, here come all of us, my brothers and I. It's funny how it worked out. And
do you think like that's like the perfect origin story for especially as your family going into law enforcement as well? And do you think you'd want to be a police officer if you were to enter law enforcement?
It's at this point in time, if I can't, I have my own like little track personally. If I can't get this done by this, or I'm not happy with like my career or that by like a certain age and time in my life, depending on like what my girlfriend's doing or what else, I'm just gonna say screw it, go to the academy and just do it, because I know that's a comfortable backup plan for me. So it's a matter of if I want to do that right now, which I mean, kind of went to school for something else, but but I'll fall back onto it. I think it's a very comfortable thing for me, because every time I see them and my brother going through it now, I'm like, I want to do that. Like that just sounds so fun. I'm like, go for the chase, go for that, and go for the bad guy, or like help save this guy's life, or just Plus, I mean, there is benefits with the job and everything, but end of the day, it's kind of just not a lot of people want to do it or can do it anymore. And I feel like I could, just because of the way I was thankfully raised, that I'm very happy I was.
So and you understand like the struggles that come with the job too, and you have that kind of perspective of other people who have done it. And also, what really draws you to graphic design on that note? Because you kind of talked about the contrast between both careers.
It's funny because our generation, like obviously there was TV and this and that and internet, but we really blew up when social media and the internet really, really kicked off. Like there was, break.com before 2005, and you have MySpace, but like once 2005 hit with YouTube, and then, people slowly started posting, like you look at, I just remember all these, like watching videos online on YouTube. Cause like in the beginning, like my parents were like, oh, once you turn 13, you can go watch YouTube. And we're like, what's YouTube? We're like, is this a bad site? But growing up, watching videos of my brothers, I'm like, oh, this is so fun and everything. And then I really wanted to do like, the YouTube, or like, oh, this person like vlogged, or like, and then video games broke into place. It's like, this dude's making how much money playing video games? Smosh made millions, probably now billions of dollars, building their empire, just doing sketches of whether, I don't know, good or shit humor. I don't know. And it's like, Luna, I'm like, oh yeah, video and this and that. And then in high school, I was like, oh, like, I kind of like, I don't really remember how I got introduced to it, because there was my senior year, there was a video or like some kind of class like that where you just like made videos for the whole year. It was really fun, and you submit them for a competition in the local paper, and then you like get rewarded and everything. It's like, oh, okay, cool. I think that's when I first like really got into it, doing like production stuff. But graphic design in of itself, I mean, it's everywhere. You can't have a business like without a logo. You can't grow your business without like marketing. You can't have this happen unless you have some kind of backbone to it. It can happen, but I just like that no matter where you look, there is graphic design. I remember, I mean, I watched the one with Sophia, and
Yeah.
she said, like,
Mhm.
wherever you look, it's there.
Mhm.
And that's the same thing as every other job. Businesses need leaders, this and that. But I just like that I can look at this can and be like, yeah, I did that. Like, that's cool to me. Like, if I can create a product, and all of a sudden there's just like I can hold it, like that's really neat to me. But also, it's good paying, it's a good career, and plus, you can make something that can last a lifetime. Like, think of everyone who first came up with like, oh, let's build Spotify. Spotify is huge. Imagine just on your deathbed and be like, I did that. I built Spotify. It's like that. Like, that's kind of cool. But yeah, I don't know. I just like to create. And plus, I'm not artistic at that much. I can't draw as much as my mother might say. I still can't. I can't anymore. I suck at it. But yeah, no, there's just something about a creative aspect with graphic design that you can really represent yourself, like as a brand or like as a person, which unfortunately that's just how everything works now. Like, you can't just live your life. Everyone has to have some kind of story, but that's good. People should be allowed to express and and show themselves in a certain way. But yeah, I think that's just really just kind of like getting out there, and everyone can do what they want. But for me, I want to use graphic design as more so of like a purpose, and I've talked about it on other occasions with other people, especially in like classes too, like graphic design. Like, I would love to use graphic design to go back to like my good passions of like first responders or hockey and everything, like getting into those fields, because it's a way for me to like reattach myself to what I love, like police or like playing hockey or whatever.
It's kind of like being an architect. Like,
Yeah.
let's say you built a building, like a skyscraper, and you're walking by it. It's like that kind of feeling. It's like, I created this very recognizable brand that can last so long. Like, you create, like you said, the logo for Spotify. Let's say you create the logo for Twitter, or I guess now X. And it's like, that's something that everybody sees.
Yeah.
Like, that's something that's really incredible, and an incredible point of reference too, mentioning the Sophia episode. I was gonna bring that up because I know you both are big into graphic design. I also like how you brought up like how you could create designs potentially like for law enforcement or for a hockey, so you could kind of be in these fields of interest and kind of both paths if this is the career you choose to take. And I'd also like to get into another big part of you, which is your sick bike and what you enjoy kind of about riding it, because I've never really seen somebody else like riding a bike like that. If you want to explain what it is.
Yeah, so it's very recent. Like, there's states now just passing laws about like electronic scooters and bikes. So it's in the name, but an e-bike is a bike but with a motor. It's not a motorcycle because it's under a certain wattage and it's under a certain RPM, or I don't remember the term for it, but it's slow enough that it's still a bike, but it's a motorized vehicle. So like, you can get a DUI if I'm riding that thing and I'm hammered. I can get locked up. But that's how how much it's grown into like our just kind of like normal world. But like, there's a lot of e-bikes out there. It's huge out west in LA. Like, I'm figured you'd see it here and there, but like all across the Venice Beach, just seeing like vlogs of people I watch or something, they're like, yeah, I got this new e-bike and everything. They rip it out, and it's really starting to blow up because there's brands everywhere. Just like how the electric skateboard was a big thing, now it's a bike. But yeah, my bike is a very big bike, and I did not expect it to be that big, because usually e-bikes are, they're larger, and obviously they have to fit the motor on it, but like my tires were fat. Like, that thing is heavy. Getting that thing, like trying to build that by myself was a pain in the ass. Like, I was breaking a sweat tying it together, and I did it 20 minutes before class. I showed up to class late that day. I was like, I don't know if I could do this right now. It showed up at my door. I'm like, I got time to build it. Pulled the thing out, and the bike is like, it's huge. They're 5-inch like thick tires, and usually they're like 3-inch or something like that. But yeah, no, my bike, it's big. It's a Yodo e-bike, and the reason why I got it was because I don't have a car. I didn't have money for a car. Like, as much as I loved saving up and had enough to be able to do something, it would have been just easier, cheaper. So I was like, you know what? I talked to my dad, and we talked back and forth. We were like, all right, this is what we'll do. Got this big ass bike, and then it got me through school for a whole year, for my whole senior year. Everyone else was riding in their nice cars and everything. I'm like, I got my bike. But yeah,
it's pretty tough.
It's every time I rode around campus, even popping up on Yik Yak, people were like, oh, is that kid with the like? What? That's not a bike. What is that? And public safety, they didn't care. Like, and I looked at the laws. I'm like, I was like Hamden PD or like the public safety, they're gonna like. I went on the roads. I ran through everything. They're like, they didn't care. They're like, it's a sick bike, man. one of the public safety officers on the back road here. I remember riding up. It was like right in the first like week I got it. I rode back up because I used to walk past them, getting to class. And I was riding by and I, show my ID and he rolls on me. He goes, hold up a minute. I go, yeah. I said, what's up? What can I do for you? And he looked at me and he goes, what the fuck is that thing? He's like, that's not a car. I'm like, no, it's not a car. And he goes, but it's so big and it's so obnoxious for some people, but it's so fun to ride. It got me through school. I love it.
I remember you like soaring through campus on it. Like in our last sketch together, the senior bucket list, I was like showing it off and I was putting the little sound effects on it. Like,
oh dude, everyone, when I drive it or like when I rode it on the pathways and everything, everyone's like, oh my God, what is that thing? And everyone running out the way and this and that. Cause I mean, there's no bell or horn on it.
Yeah.
There probably should be, but I'm sitting there and like, you can hear the tires as they're rolling. Like it's a loud roar, like enough when the tires are going and rolling on the pavement, people hear me coming by and they're like, all of a sudden they're just walking down the class and there's like a tiny little gap. I'm like, I'm gonna speed past them. Cause some people walk so slow. I'm like, bro, and I'm coming on a 25 mile an hour bike. They're just sitting there walking in the class. They're like, oh my God, Stephanie. Here I come. And they're like, what was that? But yeah, that thing it was an expensive bike, but the tires are good enough. It got me through the winter, snow, wet, rain. It's waterproof. The battery doesn't take that long to charge and it lasts forever. Yeah.
It's like a cheat code, kind of.
It really is, because as much as everyone like looks at you because I had to go on the road at some point, so like go to the store for something, people are like, oh, but people like will move for you, which in this state, in this area, is surprising. I figured they'd be like, door tap and hit me off. But no, yeah, it's so fun. It's because people are like, oh, I gotta walk to class, I gotta walk to the other side of campus. I'm gone. I'm already there.
Yeah,
it was so fun. It's good. Right now, it's sitting in a garage just collecting dust, but I'll probably sell it to afford a car. But
it had its time. It had its era. It was like the Bat bike.
Everyone just knew, like kids who I never even saw. They're like, "Hey, it's bike guy." I'm like, "I'm bike guy."
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Some people talked about it, and some people are like, "Yeah," because I mean, this school has a bunch of a lot more preppier kids, I would say, and like some people like who have money, they see it, they're like, oh yeah, I got like 5 of those, and like, they just didn't care. But no, it was definitely a breeze getting from class to class, or like from the house to class and back, because it had a headlight too. I could use it during night, and I whipped everywhere, and people were like, oh, Brian's here. I can hear his bike sitting out there.
That's sick. That's sick. And so you're known as bike guy, but you're also known as an RA. So I'd like to ask you about your time as an RA and like any stories you're at liberty to share.
Oh God, yeah. Being an RA, end of the day, it's worth it. If people want to go out there and do it, it's great on a resume. It's good self-development. It's good to save money for tuition. Kind of a big part of it, but it was fun. It was a pain in the ass at times, but I'm happy I did it. I got to connect with a lot of people. I did it with one of my best friends. Oddly enough, we went through the whole process together, and we wound up living. We were on the same staff, in the same building. She was the floor right above me. So went through that whole thing with a very, very good friend. And obviously I made friends with my whole staff. But yeah, being an RA is fun, but be prepared to get whacked with either the handbook or just crazy things that happen.
Yeah.
And you never expect like what would happen, but I'll try to breeze through this, like the intro process really quick. But like I went through the interview process, and I was in the main interview, like the one-on-one, and they were talking to me like, oh yeah, and they're like, so would you rather get placed with like older kid, like your class, or younger? I'm like, I don't think I'd really be good with freshmen. I don't know if you'd want me with freshmen and everything. I think I'll be good with my class. Like I'm able to communicate this, just talking at my ass for answers. Like I kind of need this. Get the email 2 months later. It's like, all right, yeah, you got the job. You're a freshman, by the way. I'm like, you expect me to look after how many freshmen? I mean, kids these days, they're just, I say kids. I mean, I'm only 22, but I mean, kids, it's just these people coming in, especially post-COVID, like that since 2020, like moving on, like some people were really, really nurtured or really did not know what they were doing. Like since that, now they're going into college. I like the kids I got, the freshman class then was like the really fresh batch. And I don't mean that for everyone. There's obviously plenty of awesome, you know, kids, but like, it's just for some reason more oftentimes than not, I don't know what my family's luck is. We always seem to step in shit, and but the storm cloud follows. And there's kids do stupid things, they say stupid things, but they learn. They you know, they deal with it. I probably can't talk about that one. That one's bad. That one had to go through the school. But yeah, no, kids say the darndest things. I mean, very early on, and I wasn't even on for this one. It was the first weekend, like the first full weekend. It was Thursday night. It was the first long shift because you have to stay up really late because that's just how it is. It's like 2:30 in the morning. We're sitting in the little office because thankfully in Dana, that's where the RA, you know, I forget what, I don't even remember what, central duty or whatever. That's where we were all sitting, and we're like, oh, we're so tired. We get on the radio, and they're like, in 2:30 is when we usually get called off, or 2:30, something like that. And they get on the radio, they're like, we're gonna have to stay on for a little bit longer. All of the RHDs have to go up to York Hill. And said there's a fight, and we're like, great, one fight now. We have to stay on longer. Hour and a half passes. Long story short, 2 kids got into a scheduled scrap, supposedly. I don't know how true all this is, but I heard this from a lot of different people. They got into scheduled scrap, and one of them brought a butter knife. Supposedly brought a butter knife to stab the kid. What the? Who brings? First off, why a butter knife out of it? Like, if you're gonna do it, do it. Don't. But it's like, that's insane. Like, what are you doing? But that was nuts. And then, you know, obviously late night followed. We finally got called up. I went and got McDanks at 5 a.m. Woke up in 3 hours for my 9 o'clock class. I was like, yeah. There was I mean, again, kids say terrible. Like, there's some kids who just have no filter, and it gets them in trouble. You know, they say some nasty stuff, whether discriminatory or not. How to deal with that before. I know for me that the biggest thing for my floor is my kids. A couple of them reeked. They reeked. I had to talk to, well, I didn't have to, but the one of the kids in my hallway, he didn't smell good. I don't think he did. Like, everyone complained about him. This kid never showered, never this. I'm like, there's got to be something going on at home. But I can't touch that. That's not my business. But I can refer him to other people, my boss, that, like, they could do that. They were moving out, and this kid brought out into the hallway like 2 duffel bags. Well, I think it was the IKEA ones. They were wet, and they reeked. And I in the hallway, and kids are walking down the other side of the hallway with a Febreze. I'm like, this is just a situation about to go back, because the other kids on the other end of the hallway, they're starting to gag. And then me and the mother standing there, she looks at me, and she saw me come out of her room, and I saw her walking towards me. I go, oh shit. I'm like, here we go. And she was like, she looked up to me, and this is after she yelled at her kid. And she was like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, ma'am, it's not my business. I'm here to, I'm like, if there's anything that needs to be done, need help or whatever, let me know. And that was it. She walked away, and then that was that. But like, and there's so many like little stories. Some of them I can't tell just because that's how severe they were. But yeah, trying to think. And sometimes these things like happen like to other people on my staff. Like there was a girl had a seizure, and then people like lost their minds. There was people who were putting underwear on other people's doors. I was like, first off, gross. Like, why? Kids unfortunately have mental problems, or they get into such a deep state in their mind, and you have to talk. Like that's how sometimes it can get severe. I think that's also sometimes why I went into it, like why I wanted to do it, just because like I wish I had this kind of guidance because like my 2020 was COVID. I went to school in COVID, and every RA was put your mask on, this, that. I'm like, no, like screw you. I don't want to do it. But yeah, some kids genuinely just need to talk and help, and it's good to talk to these kids. I might never see him again in my life, but maybe I said something to him and it'll click. And that just in the back of my mind, that makes me, happy. It makes me content that like, at least I help and I did something, because sometimes someone won't put their foot forward to say something or do something. And it can have consequences. Again, that's going back to like law enforcement, first responder, like saying something, doing something, like a call to action. But yeah, I would say the biggest story, because it was personal, and I have shared it before with a bunch of other people, was when I almost got fired. It was spring, first weekend in the spring semester. We got back and everything good. I wasn't on duty. Awesome, cool. I'm going to the bar. Went to the bar. I'm of age. I'm good. Like I went out, had a great time, yada yada. Go to come back, and I went with a bunch of my friends, and the Uber was filled. And I was like, go. Some of my friends are here. I'll go in another Uber. Like, you guys get home safely. I'm good. I have other people I can talk to so I can get home. Get into one of my buddies' Ubers, and we wind up coming back to campus. He doesn't live on campus. He lives in an off campus house. That's fine. He's blasted, like way too much. I'm like, oh great. Kids like almost gagging me in the car, and of course that's a nightmare as is. But I was like, you know what? Fine, just stay the night in my room. That's fine. I don't really care. Like, he's a student. I know there's like a whole bunch of policy and rule and everything for like having a guest, because technically he would be, because he lives off campus. He's not an on-campus student. But I was like, nothing really. I mean, just stay on my couch. I don't really care, because I had a futon in my room. That was that. Long story short, this kid winds up throwing up and goes berserk before we could even get to my room. I was like, bro, great. And because I also had his phone, because he was losing it. Phone. I had his phone and in the room and everything, but he was yelling and everything, and there's other kids downstairs, because like I'm an RA. People in that building know who I am. They're opening doors. I'm like, what is going on? Like, what is this? I'm like, I already called. I had to call public safety, because he's throwing up in the toilet, and at one point he was actively like heaving, and then he just stopped moving. And I looked at him, and he slumped. I mean, maybe thankfully he was still breathing, but I didn't see him breathing. I was like, oh no. My heart dropped. I'm like almost 2 sheets to the wind. I'm like, all right, here we go. This is how it starts. I like looked at him, and I'm like, dude, I put my hand on his shoulder, and I also did a sternum rub, and he was like, hey. I'm like, dude, are you okay? He wakes up and he starts screaming. I'm like, great. And now I have to call public safety, because one, he's like dying, and then there's kids in the hallway going, what is all this noise? It's late. It's like 3 a.m. It's bad. So I'm like, I have to call public safety. And I said, great. Call public safety. They get there. They talk to him. He somehow sobers up on a dime. I'm like, awesome. This was for nothing. But I had to talk to public safety, give my statement, and this and that. I had to write a report as an artist. I at that point, I had to act as an RA by the book, which I did. I followed the book. I did what I had to do. I called public safety. I followed the rules. At that point, like I got the kids' names and everything. Like, we're reporting it, and I was at that point. There's no RAs on duty. That's the thing. So I couldn't like tell them to be like, hey, you need to like write this down for a report. But I get all the information. I get everything. And I have all the information to write a report the next morning, because I called my boss down, because he was also he was on duty that night. He was one of the for that shift, and he was like, look, you did your job. He said, you're good. Save it for the morning so you can write it, because I know sometimes there could be lapses in memory, because I told him like, I'm a bit inebriated. I was out at the bars all night. And he was like, write it tomorrow morning, this, that. Skip a couple days. Well, I write the report. He gets my friend gets a warning. I'm off the hook because of Good Samaritan law. Like state law, I'm good. And there's a policy in the book, in the student handbook here. There's a policy, like I forget what it is. It's not Good Samaritan, but it's something. It equates to Good Samaritan. And I was like, all right, cool. I probably have to like talk to the supervisor and the boss and everything, but like whatever, I'm good. I followed the book. We're okay. I did the right thing. I called public safety. I made sure my friend was okay, because he was gone, and he was like really sick. Like, I've seen kids drink less and go to the hospital. Like he He had a lot. And, the kids were talked to, public safety dealt with the other kids in the hallway, and, everything was good. I get a text almost a month later, like 3.5 weeks later, I get a text from my boss saying like, hey, can you go for a meeting? I'm like, yeah, sure. Long story short, this guy told me I'm having a meeting with one of the res life heads about what happened, about to be put on probation. I look at him and he none of this is his fault. Like he just told me as is, and he's got to follow his boss's words. But I looked at him, I was like, for what? And then he was said for like breaking the guest policy and this. I'm like, how am I getting in trouble for doing the right? First off, I'm offering this kid a place to sleep instead of, because were there kids that could have came and picked him up? Yeah, but I don't know what they did all night. It's going to take me an hour to find it. Get him a water, get him a trash can if he needs to, stay on my couch, end of the story. But it doesn't even matter. That's all negated by the fact that I followed the handbook and I'm protected by the Good Samaritan rule, the policy. Like I'm fine. Like, how am I getting in trouble because of this? If people want to talk to me how like I need to think and do something at a time, oh yeah, sure. I could have completely done other things and separate things, but I was just like, how am I getting in trouble for this? Skip however many days later, I'm in a meeting. I'm in a room, like I'm in a suit and tie because I'm going into this because apparently I could get fired over this. I learned. I'm like, I'm already losing my mind. I had to call my parents and they're like, you did nothing wrong. And I'm honest to God, like I still believe I did nothing wrong. Were there actions or things that could have been done to mitigate the situation or like have it not escalate the way it did? Yeah, but too bad it didn't. I'm sitting in a room with my boss by my side and the one of the res life heads for this campus. She's no longer here, by the way. Good. Good. I'm happy to say she's a very lovely lady. She didn't, she's good. I've had separate conversation with her. She's awesome. But since that day, it was never the same. For some reason, it had an impact on me from like certain bosses. And I was always a kid who was just like, well, why this, why that, and everything. Just kind of like question things. But I'm sitting in a room and she's talking about like my account and why are the stories not matching up and everything. Because my story is different from, my buddies. Like, he didn't remember a quarter of the night. I remember the whole thing. I wrote everything in that report. You have the body cam footage from the public safety. So there's two stories line up. Mine, public safety. How is like that not? How's that not factor true? They got worried that it like was a party off campus for like the fraternity I was in and this and that. And they're like, you broke a rule. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, I wrote 4-5 pages of notes, highlighted points and everything of like, this is what happened. Like, what's wrong with this? Where's this? Because also the whole process that they took behind the scenes for like action against me, they already screwed up. Like, I was following the steps the whole way. They messed up some points. Plus, I wasn't promised, but I was told from my boss, I'm okay. Like, I'm good. Don't BS me if you like. We go through this whole training prior to like to talk to kids who are in like bad mental statuses and everything, and you're telling me that I'm okay, and all of a sudden, 3 weeks later, I might get fired, and now like there goes my tuition reimbursement or whatever for the compensation for it. But I'm sitting down at this meeting, and she tells me, after I'm like, I don't understand how I'm getting in trouble for this. Like, I'm happy to you guys tell me this needs to happen, yada, yada, yada. She told me that you are not protected by that policy, by that law, because you are an RA. I'm like, I had to start to act as an RA because the situation like escalated the way it did. I followed the book. I did the right thing. I said the right thing. Watched the body cam. The thing that ticked me off, and I almost stormed out of that room, and I was rightfully pissed. Like, I did not want to speak to. And pardon my French, I almost just wanted to be like, "Fuck you," and walk out that room and say I quit. But my nerves were calm. I sat there. I was cordial. I was professional. I questioned sternly, but I questioned. She told me that she had to have a meeting with administrators. I don't know like what kind of administrator. I'm assuming res life administrators and whatever, to have a meeting to see if I was a threat to myself or other students on this campus. Are you kidding me? You just said that to my face over just me calling public safety because my friend's throwing up and being loud. How does it escalate that much? The fact that she told me that to my face and like, really? I've done nothing. Like, I've had a clean record. I've been, appraised. I've been appraised by other people in RHDs, but that set me off. And I was like, at this point, you know what? I don't even know. If I get fired, screw it. But like I was about to quit at that moment. Like I can't believe you said, like they had a meeting to see if I was a threat to myself or others. That's insane. Like, first off, me. Like I'm me. I'm awesome. But that's just mind-boggling that happened. That meeting even supposedly took place. You're like, there's no words to describe to how like just upset. Like, I was pissed. I'm like, bro. But I didn't get fired. I was on probation. I had to go to a meeting with my boss every other week and like talk about how to improve this, how to improve that. I was so reluctant and you know hesitant against it, and I would like push back against it so much. I was like, he tried to do his job. He tried to talk to me about it, and be like, do you want to discuss things? I said, I'm not discussing this with you or anyone else in Res Life. I'm going to discuss it with my fellow RAs and other people who were prior involved. And I asked, I'm like, this is my situation. You guys aren't allowed to talk to this. I know, because it's a privacy thing. I can talk all I want. I did. From what I was told, I caused a little shitstorm internally with RA, like, because I wasn't the first one to get kind of screwy with the rules and that. But long story short, there seemed to be some bias and improper procedures followed. And it's crazy how I did my job and I almost got screwed over for it. I made a mistake, yeah, whatever, you know, but it's not as severe as it was. But the fact that, you know, like heads of Res like told me that I, you know, could have been a threat. I'm like, what do you mean a threat? Like, or like dangerous or something? I was like, it set a bad tone for the rest of the year. But I say in lieu of my bad experiences, but it's still a worthwhile thing if this school does a good job. And Quinnipiac, they have had a lot of change over the past couple of years. There's only like 2 RHDs left that was there from last year or even the year before. Half of them are gone and moved to different positions. Awesome. They're awesome people. They're good, but they were doing their jobs. But the heads of Res Life, a lot of problems stemmed from them, because I talk to certain individuals, but don't let what I say, like, you know, impede on what people may want to do. Like, become an RA. It's an awesome experience, but do be sure to know what you're getting into, because sometimes a mistake can blow up into something like that. But it just so happens to be that Quinnipiac, great school, great everything, the community, but some of their systems, in my opinion, needed to be fixed, rewritten, reworded, or just like changed, because it was a pain in the ass for me and a lot of other people. I mean, another kid, a fellow RA got fired for, you know, the simplest thing, for a candle being lit in his room while he was in there. That's a fine. He got fired. That's ridiculous. And he also was labeled a threat to this. I mean, it's a fire hazard. It's a candle. But yeah, I don't know how long I'm supposed to go on about that, but it's fun. You know, you get to talk to kids, you get to do everything. But my experiences were, it shed a lot of light on how schools actually operate behind the scenes. End of the day, they do care, but you gotta earn that care. In my opinion, I mean, Quinnipiac did not do a great job handling my situation and other people's. It left a lot of blank space and questioning and all that. Yeah, it was iffy. But I'm happy that everything happened. I don't have any grudges against anyone. You know, you know, my boss, you know, he's a great guy, awesome, super personable, great personality. He's fun. The other woman, yeah, I don't know about that. We just never had a great conversation. Like, we just didn't, I don't know. But yeah, it's so fun though. It's so fun because kids, you know, you're walking down the hallway and the kids are like, oh, it's the RA, it's the RA. You know, they got their 30 rack. I'm like, I didn't see it. I didn't see it. You know, and they'll try to like bribe you too. Can't say that, but yeah. You know, I don't hear it, see it, smell it. I don't, it's not happening. You live your life. You're good. But you get good connections. I see some of the kids, and sometimes they'll send me a message. They're like, oh, hey, how you doing? I'm like, yeah. It's good to connect with these kids. But it's worth it.
Yeah. And your stories, it's a difficult example of rules being black and white and how that can affect people in real life situations, because you were just trying to help your friend and you were doing what you felt was right at the moment, which was being responsible, getting the Uber, taking him home with you, making sure he could get to bed as safely as possible, and things just went awry. But I really do feel that in that situation you did the right thing and you did what you felt was right, and then led to all these repercussions, and then jumping to conclusions that
it's nuts,
weren't fitting with what your intentions were. So it's a very difficult situation, very murky, kind of like what I said, like non-black and white situation that they were trying to make.
Yeah, and
black
their
and white.
whole spiel was adaptability and what I forget the other way, like is adaptability and something else. How are you not able to work with me here? And at Devil's Advocate, they did their job. They had to make this black and white decision. I was like, all right, cool, whatever. But like, if that was the whole thing, it's like adaptability and flexibility and this and that, and you're putting up like they pretty much put their foot up my ass for. I was like, I get it. You got to follow the rules. You got to follow policy. But it's just there's so many little things that were done improperly, in my opinion. And then I got the short end of the stick out of it, even though apparently Good Samaritan law just isn't a thing. That's just crazy to me. It ruined my experience.
Yeah.
But that's not at fault of any students, any other staff, or like my boss. It's just at fault of the system and the policy as it was. It kind of ruined it.
Yeah,
I still had a great time.
Kind of bending the Good Samaritan law.
How do you do that? Like, I get it's a private school, but how do you do it? They had a policy. And if she said that I'm not protected by that, say that in the book. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done a damn thing. I always said, you're on your own, bye, and left. Like, I wouldn't have done anything. If I'm like, I can't do this, I'm going to get in trouble. I'll call public safety on someone else's phone. Like, someone else call it. I'll run away. I would have done that to protect my ass. But no, I wouldn't have. I would have stayed and taken care of him. But like, in another world, I would have been like, public safety, all right, bye, and left. Like, because someone else is taking care of him if I knew I was going to get screwed. But I don't know. It is what it is at the end of the day. Like, again, I don't have any grudges. I had a great time. It's a very worthwhile experience. It's fun.
Yeah.
And you have there's so many other stories, but sometimes they're just like, I mean, even after I left, there was feces thrown on the walls in a certain building. That's ridiculous. I don't even know, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a good representation of your loyalty too.
Yeah.
Helping your friend in a time of need, and a lesson of like a lot of like what law enforcement will go through. You go through those really difficult situations like that where you have to make tough calls.
Yeah.
And then you'll have to answer for them later in very difficult conversations where you have to stand your ground, much like you did.
Yeah.
But kind of to enter a lighter note, I'd like to ask you about your time in QU tonight and kind of what that meant to you and kind of what led you there.
It's kind of funny because every year in school I did something different. Freshman year, COVID, sophomore year, I got into fraternity. Junior year was the RA, and the senior year I got into Q30, which is where I thankfully met you. Q30, so Aaron Epstein and Grace Parisi, I knew Grace Parisi from freshman year. We crossed paths here and there, but we were all in the same improv class. I needed to fill a requirement. I took DR 181. Those two are my class. And, just went about the class. And I guess Aaron and Grace took a liking to me. And Aaron was like, yo, you should try out the show. Like, you just like kind of funny. Because that whole class was improv. That's all it was. I mean, I took it because I was like, I'll try. I didn't want to take any other art history stuff. I'm like, I can't sit in a class and then have the professor be like, this color means that. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. I want to do something. So I did it. I loved it. But Aaron was like, yeah, you should do it. And I texted him a week before a day before the application was due, or like the interest form. I was like, should I do it? He goes, why not? He's like, dude, do it. We're gonna have so much fun. Like, I'm one of the EPs this year. You're gonna have a great time. Grace is right. I'm like, I knew that already, but they're like, yeah, we're gonna, like, it's gonna be fine. So I was like, do I really want to do that? What else am I doing with my time? I'm not really doing too much. I'll do it. Like, my schedule was blank. I had a 4-day weekend every weekend. I was like, I'll do it. And then it was every other Thursday. So I said, all right, sure. Went to the audition, did the audition. I was like, whoa, okay. And I said stuff, and people reacted like in a positive manner. I'm like, I didn't think what I said was funny, but someone else did. So I'm doing something right. Like, when I walked in, the first thing that they said was like, what's your go-to appetizer? Like, what's your favorite this or that? I'm like, I don't know. I said a nice zesty crab rangoon with like the straightest face and like the sternest demeanor. And a couple of guys just started like I forget who it was, but one of them was laughing their asses off in the corner. It was like one of the girls. I was like, but yeah, got involved, and I said, you know what, screw it, I'll do it. I'll join the cast. I didn't know what I was getting into, but I'm so happy I did it because, one, I got comfortable with myself in certain situations, but I also met a lot of people like you that I still have connections with, and I see everyone else, accomplishing a lot. But Q30 and Quinnipiac tonight was really fun because I loved Whose Line Is It Anyway growing up. Whether I should have been watching it that young or not, I still did it. And because I like a part of me is like, all right, in another world, am I gonna be on a stage? Am I gonna do this? I don't like to go around and feel like, oh, I'm funny, I'm this and that. Because if, in my opinion, if people have to go out there and be like, yeah, I'm funny, you're not funny. It just comes naturally. But I know that I can, like my dry sense of humor, like in the way like my brothers and I kind of like, shoot the shit sometimes at home, when we were younger. That's just kind of how it worked. And like our, the humor, I was like, you know what, I'll do it, whatever. And I met a lot of fun people, and so many fun memories happened. And I'm glad I did it, because it let me explore a different part of me, as weird and cliche as that sounds. But like I mean it. It was really good.
Yeah, it's kind of what performing does for you. Did you have any stage experience prior to Quinnipiac? Because you were always so good at improv that I always kind of figured you had some kind of stage. So you had no like theater experience?
I did not touch. I have nothing. The only thing I did, I was in one skit in like Cub Scouts in like second grade, and I barely remember that. It was the only thing I was ever like on a stage for. I've never, like no, nothing. And I did the improv class, and the professor was like, oh, have you considered this? I'm like, no, because I don't want to. Like, I personally don't want to go and like do like a theater thing or like go do drama stuff. Like, I think some of that stuff is really sappy, but like, like watching stand-up comedians or like these shows like Impractical Jokers or like Whose Line, like that's awesome. That's really funny. Like, because that's like, you get to be a kid. You get to keep your imagination alive, because we're all kept in these boxes, and you got to do this, got to do that, tell you this, say that. And that kind of just breaks out and be like, hey, this is comedy. People need to laugh at things. People are way too serious. They take too many things to heart. Live a little. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to live a little. I'm going to do this show, whether my girlfriend thinks it's weird, or like my roommates are like, what are you doing? But did it. And my parents were like, oh, Brian's on this Thursday. And I was like, what? But yeah, no, it was really, really fun. I had no experience.
Interesting. And it's cool you say you get your humor from your brothers. I would say I get my humor from my brother as well, who you also have a connection with, because I know you said your girlfriend's in PT.
Yes.
And then she knows probably the group that my brother's with, and then she knows him. Because, of course, my last name is so distinct, so you're able to know who he is. So that's like a fun little connection.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't, like, because I'm not much of like a person where I'm going to like crack a joke every other thing or every other sentence. Like, I'll say it just because, it's good to be lighthearted. And then when it's time to get serious, it's time to get serious. Yeah.
Interesting. And I kind of want to keep getting to know you better. So what are some things that people may not know about you?
A lot. No, I'm a very private person, because end of the day, like, unless you're someone who like I know and like, I'm friends with, like you or something, like if it's just some other person I'm passing on the street, like an employee, or like a coworker, like I don't care about your life, you don't care about mine, unless like we get to know each other and spend time with it. Like, I don't care. But like, no, me, a lot of people, I mean, some people say my personality is very hockey, and people are like, did you play hockey? I was like, yeah. And they're like, I knew it. And I always wear that damn hat. They're like, they're like, oh, you just kind of like say things a certain way. But I mean, people don't know about me. There's a lot, nothing that's like super like, whoa. But no, I mean, I played hockey my whole life. Know about me personally. See, I thought about this because I was like, is he gonna ask this? I was like, yeah. Like, I read it. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to answer this. I'm not as mean as what people take me to be. Like, I'm really chill. Like, I'm more so just like, if you talk to me, like, I'm more than happy to give you advice or this or that. Like, a lot of people are scared to talk to others nowadays, and I like to sometimes, as much as I'm like, I hate people. Like I said before, like talk to me. I'm very personable, and I try to be when I can. Like, I'm not gonna go talk on some random dude on the street and be like, tell me your life story, look me in my eyes. And I'm like, no. But I don't know, I play hockey. A lot of people don't know that I have first responders in the family, or like and that yeah, I'm not that unique. I'm just out and about. I just live life.
Very, very, very interesting. And kind of on that note, I'd like to ask you, what's one thing you love and one thing you strongly dislike?
I love cookies. No, but I love My serious answer is I love just like human beings. I just love whether people are actually like compassionate and just down to earth. I hate that. I hate when people are just so full of themselves and don't really consider other people and everything. And, you know, end of the day, people really should be for themselves. But I love when people can talk like this. Like, and I know this is very like fun, like quick witted conversation, but like when it comes to serious stuff and everything, I love when people can talk and communicate and just say something without having any repercussions. Because that has happened to me before a million times. Yeah. Oh, love New Jersey. I love pork roll. I love Central Jersey because it exists. A lot of people don't like Central Jersey. Are you from Jersey? Where?
This is my disagreeing cam. I'm not sure about the Central Jersey comment.
I live there. right on the, almost on the shore. But yeah, I don't know. I apologize. I'm not giving like super creative like fun answers. I'm just here.
Yeah,
I'm very simple.
Your answers are your answers. Like anything you really dislike. Also, people.
I just like your producer because he said Central Jersey doesn't exist.
Any other dislikes?
Nope, just him. No. Nope, just him.
Just him. All right. Well,
Fair.
Moving onwards, do you have any hopes and dreams professionally or in general?
Other than law enforcement, I grew up playing hockey. I want to play so bad. And that's something that a lot of kids don't get. You play your sport. Like, I know you've played sports and everything. I didn't know my last game was going to be my last game. And that sucked. That sucks a lot. Like, you're early on, you're having fun. At the end of the day, if you're having fun, you're good. But, you know, my family, we always try to, like, move forward and, like, try to do some kind of career out of it. But I was in a situation where I said, I'm going to go to school. I'm not going to play juniors. I'm not really going to get that chance. I'm going to go to school. I would love to play or be involved either coaching or something like with graphic design with hockey in of itself, because that'll bring me back to like my core passion and something I love very deeply, because that's how my brothers and I still connect and everything. Like, we just went to the Devil's Home opener last week with each other, like my whole family. That's something I wish I could do. Like, if I can go bring marketing or like graphic design or like do like on ice graphics or like be that guy in the locker room with the guys and everything, and just bring me back to what I love. And you know, live vicariously through them, pretty much. No, but you know, make something out of it, because people remember movies, people remember things that they see, people remember experiences that they had in their life. I love sitting in that arena, going through that pregame thing, and there's like an epic trailer on the screen, and I'm like, yeah, I'm getting pumped up. Like I will always remember those things. Like everyone remembers the Avengers and all that stuff. Everyone knows their favorite movie of all time, and if I can create that, just something that leaves an impact on this, like on a situation or something, but especially with hockey, oh, please let me do that. That's awesome. Or in a perfect world, even though everyone's got to be an influencer today, if I can have my own little tiny empire of just like, people need to like live life, just like stop being so serious. Like, there are issues out there, they need to be talked about, but like, just live a little. If I can do that, yeah, either of those, I'd be happy.
Talking about experiences leads us perfectly into my next topic, what are some of your favorite movies?
Well, Miracle on Ice. That's easily number one. There you go. Yeah, there he goes. Easily number one.
You won Liam over.
Good.
We can agree on that. Herb Brooks is a legend.
He's back in my good graces for that. Shout out Sabrina Carpenter. That's all I see on TikTok now. Sabrina. I call her Sabubi Carpet Poo because I can't stand some of her songs. No, the movies, SWAT, the old, like the normal, like way back, the regular movie, SWAT. Obviously, some Avengers films are always awesome. Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man,
classics.
Easily the best, in my opinion. Not that's fact. Screw an opinion, that's fact. Yeah, that SWAT, Miracle, Silence of the Lambs. I love a good horror movie. There's something about like psychological horror, like someone's running at you with a knife. Okay, pop, shoot him or something. I don't know. I was like, these movies, like they're made to do that, but like the psychological horror, like they're really like dark. Like what's that? It starts with an H or something. Not Heritage.
Hereditary.
I don't know why I keep reading it. such an awesome movie because it's so dark and twisted. And it's like, oh yeah, it's a demon, but like that's awesome. I love scary movies like that. Hereditary is up there. Yeah, Goon. You know, anything hockey, fun or horror like that, easily in my book. His favorite movies.
Perfect. And overall, Brian, I just want to thank you so much for coming on here today. Do you have anything you want to leave the audience with before we wrap up?
Live a little. Live in the moment. Stop being so uptight. Stop worrying about this or that. Just live a little. Be thankful for the tiny things because again, I try to go back to it. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You want to try to plan for tomorrow and make it better tomorrow, but don't take it. It's a very cliche to say, don't take anything for granted because a lot of people can lose things really quick in the blink of an eye, like with the hurricane that just happened. Some people can, you can talk. I could be talking to you right now, and the next day I could not be here, or you could not be here. Like it's a scary thought, but people need to realize that, and I think it would make a lot more people a little bit more just relaxed and content with their life a little bit. Just live for yourself, live for others, be happy, and take the small things in. Don't take it for granted.
That's very, very powerful and very much speaks to you and what I've appreciated working with you back in our time in Quinnipiac tonight, how down to earth you are, how talented and funny you are.
I appreciate it.
How patient you were with me, especially as I was learning how to be a producer and how to do that. And yeah, it was just, I'm so happy I was able to get you on the show, to catch up with you, to see what you're doing. And
likewise.
Yeah, and you have a big heart, and I'm really hoping you could bring that into a field like law enforcement that can always use it. And this was very profound to learn about you, learn about your family. And I just wanted to thank you so much again for coming on.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate you, whether you think Central Jersey's real or not. Dick. No, but I appreciate it because there's a lot of things that need to be said in a short time. But I'm chill.
Definitely.
Yeah. I don't really know much else, but yeah, that's no, I appreciate it. It's good to catch up with you too.
Of course. It's a great sign off, and as always, this is Ryan Zicast with the Zicast, where everyone has a story. Signing off. Thank you so much for watching.